Hayden Moss 9444 asks, in chapter 5, you can see Saitama scratching his head after that mosquito sucked his blood, and in a previous video you pointed out that he got hurt by a cat. Also, I don't think I've ever seen someone land any kind of sword hit on him. Longer story short, blunt attacks don't work on him, but do you think swords could? So yeah, I did make a video about this, or a short, about Saitama getting hurt by a cat, and I didn't really elaborate on exactly my thoughts on it, I suppose, in that video, since it was a short. So I could go more into that in this video, and also address the other instance with him and the mosquito, and if swords can work on him. So when Saitama gets quote unquote hurt by the cat, it's from the bonus chapter Lost Cat, where Saitama is instructed by the Hero Association to rescue this cat that belongs to this little girl. And at the end of the chapter he does, and the cat winds up like scratching Saitama down his face, and it leaves like visible damage. Pretty much the only time we've ever seen Saitama take damage like this. But of course, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of just like a gaggy sequence. Like, he's not literally taking damage here. Like, I think one who I assume wrote this sequence, it could be Murata, but I think it was one, more so just put this here for comedic purposes more than anything, and not for us to overanalyze it the way that we can sometimes. Also, the fact that this is like from a volume doesn't really mean that it's necessarily canon anyway. If you're familiar with Dragon Ball Super, there's like this one weird episode where Arale shows up and does all this weird crazy stuff. Like, it doesn't really matter. It was kind of just, I think, what they refer to as a bottle episode, so you can kind of see this as like a bottle chapter. But as for stuff like this that happens in the actual canon of the series, such as like with the mosquito, I think that is also just meant to be like a comedic sequence. Just the whole concept of the mosquito in the series in general, I mean, it has many layers to it other than just being comedic. But as for it, like, I don't know, possibly piercing Saitama's skin, because yeah, he is scratching it in the chapter, meaning that it did do some kind of damage or go beneath his dermal layer. But in situations like this, I think we can just kind of push it to the side and not really think too much of it. Now, if this were to happen in like a main canonical sequence or something, for example, like when Neon sneaks up on him when he's in the Monster Association and like slashes the back of his head, Neon only leaves like marks, no damage or anything, similar to like, I don't know, scuffing a basketball court or something. But if Neon were to like pierce his flesh or something, that would be a big deal, right? Something that we really have to acknowledge. As where with him getting slashed by Toriko the cat in the bonus chapter, or the mosquito sucking his blood or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of just like a throwaway comedic sequence. And I guess him getting slashed by Neon clears up if, you know, swords could work on him. No, of course not. No man-made blade or anything like that. I don't even think any man-made weapon can really hurt Saitama, to be honest. I mean, when he was going against Cosmic Fear Garo, he took a gamma ray burst point blank to the face, and it didn't really do anything to him, so I don't think any blades could. It would have to be some god Cosmic Fear sword, you know, some cosmic material or something. So yeah, we haven't really seen Saitama take true damage in the series, I guess, so far, outside of just these comedic throwaway sequences. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. Guys, remember those New Year's goals you promised yourself you'd stick to? HelloFresh is here to help you eat fresh better by delivering fresh ingredients and easy recipes right to your door. Because you can get HelloFresh and skip that extra trip to the grocery store and the long checkout lines. No matter your lifestyle or meal preferences, HelloFresh has recipes sure to please everyone at your table. From calorie smart or carb smart to veggie or family friendly, you'll always find something even the pickiest eaters will enjoy. Guys, I gotta admit, I love HelloFresh. I tried the firecracker meatballs, and not only was it surprisingly fun, but it also tasted incredible. Like, they're not lying about restaurant quality. HelloFresh also helps me with the grind of YouTube. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to eat next, or what I'm going to prepare, or if I'm going to order something, because it's all here for me. And it's also stress relieving. So guys, go to HelloFresh.com and use code Zhoniin65 for 65% off plus free shipping. Thanks, guys. Red Shark Blue Shark 1878 says, hey Z, been a fan since the pre-face reveal days. Always wanted to support you financially, and today I finally have some spending money. Are you a cat or a dog person? Hey, thank you, Red Shark Blue Shark. I really appreciate it. So I'm not really like an animal person in general. I don't dislike them or anything. I just don't have like that innate feeling to like want to own one. I mean, if I was single, yeah, I'd probably just live by myself. But so I'll just say that if I was in a relationship with someone, then I'd probably have a dog more so than a cat, but either or fine. Shadow Gear Studios asks, hey Z, I'm so happy you've been doing this for as long as you have. I've seen the evolution of the channel since 2018 and it almost makes me emotional that I'm finally in a position to contribute to this amazing channel. And who made this possible? Hey, thank you so much, Shadow Gear Studios. I really appreciate this super thanks so much. Like, you are too kind, my friend. Thank you so much. I don't have a question or theory regarding any of the series at the moment of the writing, but I do have a suggestion. Please read through this webtoon called Existence. It is absolutely amazing. It has 24 chapters at this time and I'm blown away. You don't have to review it because I know you have a lot on your plate, but it's absolutely worth your time. Thanks, Z. P.S. Read it on Ashura Scans. It's high quality in both scan resolution and translation accuracy. No missing chapters. So I did check out Existence, the first chapter, and I do think it's really interesting. I mean, the fact that he has been reincarnated countless times through like all of the different life forms and then finally becomes a human and deems that he needs to eradicate Earth. Pretty exciting, and he gains all of those abilities. I wish the manhwa layout for their chapters was more efficient. Like, I kind of have issues with, you know, having to scroll through the manhwas the way that they're set up, but the artwork is fantastic and the story is really compelling. I don't know, like you said, but I do think it's exciting and it'll probably get an anime eventually, so I'll wait patiently for that, if anything. Jade Rex 1222 asks, do you think Shigaraki versus All For One will happen because Shigaraki's got his body back and All For One is trying to get to him? Yes, I really do think they are going to fight. I mean, I would really prefer if All Might is the one who ultimately takes down All For One, but it's very likely that Shigaraki will be the one that like fully kills him and like removes him from the series. Aaron Vasana 8531 asks, Happy New Year, Z. I'm excited to see Garp making moves in the manga again. How do you think Garp versus Blackbeard will go down? Do you think Goat Bogard is finally going to show off his advanced Conqueror's Haki? So I hope Bogard even shows up in the manga and is canonically named Bogard, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does have advanced Conqueror's Haki. But as for Garp versus Blackbeard, I have no idea what to make of this storyline. I wouldn't be surprised if Blackbeard kills Garp. Like, it seems like that's going to happen, right? Because it would give more motivation for Luffy to go after Blackbeard. And I've said this so many times on the channel, and I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but it just seems like Blackbeard's going to kill Garp at this point. But he won't go down without a fight. Primix298 asks, hey Z, Happy New Year. Big fan since the early days. What are your thoughts on Blue Lock? I know it's not something you cover on this channel usually, but the manga is really great with good characters and artwork, and I would love to see your review on the weekly chapters. It would be a dream come true. Hey Primix, I'm sorry, bro. I just don't think I'm going to be able to cover this. I'm sure it is great, and I'm sure I would love it if I actually read it. That's the sad thing, but I'm not even going to. But I probably won't wind up reading this, unfortunately, simply because it is soccer. And there's nothing wrong with soccer, or football, should I say. It's just that I'm not really interested in it. I'm more so just strictly like a battle manga type of guy. The most I'll go outside of that is like Death Note, but that's pretty much it. Barna Bastoma 1075 asks, hey Zhoniin, Happy New Year's. Do you think that the fourth form of Boros will be used by the other alien guy from the Blast team who looks like Boros, or another guy from that race that just appears and uses that form against someone? On the other hand, how strong do you think God will be in the power scaling? And in the last video you made about Boros returning some way, even now, is this your opinion? So first of all, I don't think that anyone is going to have that fourth form of Boros outside of Boros himself. If he does come back, and I guess that could go into your third question, which I do think it's still possible, but I'm not like holding my breath for it. Like, I don't think it's like 100%, or even like, I don't think it's any higher than 50% likely at this point that he'll return, but I just really hope he does. It would just be amazing for the novelty of it. It doesn't really have to make sense, just, you know, give us some fan service, you know what I mean? But the Boros guy on Blast team, I don't think would be able to use Boros's fourth form in theory, because it seems like that's more so like monsterization stuff, you know, influenced by God, which, if anything, everybody on Blast team is far away from being influenced by God. And as for how strong God could be, I don't really do the whole universal, multiversal stuff like that. I'll just say that he's probably way stronger than Cosmic Fear Garo. I mean, that just goes without saying. So just imagine whatever level that is. Kalob Rodriguez 1494 asks, just noticed you have a scar on your right eyebrow. Love your content, love the super cuts you make. What is the disaster level of what left those scars? Otherwise, what is the story? Hey, thank you for the kind words and the super thanks, Kalob. So I wish I had some epic story for this, but I got upsticked playing kitchen hockey one drunken night with my friends, and yeah, it busted me open, and I didn't really do anything afterwards, I kind of just let it heal. So that's why it kind of looks like that. Talredo4610 asks, hey Zhoniin, do you think the big three are one of the greater manga of all time? If so, why? And which is better in your opinion? So yeah, I do think that they are one of the greatest mangas of all time. Each of them, Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece for sure, because they're all iconic and fantastic series. I mean, they're not perfect, of course, and they all have a lot of weaknesses, but I think their strengths make up for that. And they've influenced everything that has come after them. So all of that together for sure makes them some of the greatest mangas of all time. And I think One Piece is probably the best of them. And then Naruto is probably second, and then Bleach is third. But that obviously isn't saying they suck or anything. It's like inches between them. But you know, if we had to have a ranking. User PU1BI7IS1V asks, Berserk is my favorite medium of any kind, not just including manga and anime. I would be ecstatic to see you go through Berserk, and I actually recommend that you read it slowly or multiple times. So I did read your full comment here, and I do plan on reading Berserk this year. I don't know when, but it will be at some point, and then once I'm done, I'm going to take my time with getting my review out, because I do want to read it. Like, so many people I know have constantly told me to check the series out, and I actually did watch like the OVA of it with Mastar last summer, the one where Guts meets Griffith for the first time, and I thought it was pretty good. So I will eventually read this, and then I would like to actually hit up the Masked Man and then maybe do a collab with him where I like ask him questions about the series. Spudge Beethoven 6495 asks, hey, Happy New Year, bro. Love the channel. Really enjoy your content, how you keep things low key. A lot of other manga and anime review channels I've seen are too dramatic for my taste. Keep up the good work. Hey, thank you for the kind words, Spudge, and the super thanks. Do you think that Deku's full cowling effect is one for all aura or runoff stockpile energy? Personally think it's both. So I did read your full question here, and I agree with you. I think that makes sense for the most part, but also the fact that One for All altered as a quirk and just an ability when it was passed from All Might to Izuku. So that could be why Izuku has the aesthetic and the full cowling effect, quote unquote, that All Might didn't necessarily show. Although he does have the ability to do his own kind of version of it, at least from what we've seen in the intro. I don't really know how much input Horikoshi had into that, or the other sequences in the anime, or in the movie, like with Bakugo's color and All Might's color of his aura. I mean, maybe he did have input, maybe not, but regardless, it all connects and makes sense for the most part. User PF6 LV1V1ZF7U asks, hello Zhoniin, I have 3 questions asked. What if the world recognized Saitama's strength? Will it be bad or good? Because it may be possible that the world will see him as a god like Superman, which makes the real god angry. So I think if they ever do, which I don't think they will, but I guess there's a small chance that by the end of the series, everyone will recognize Saitama as being the one above all. At that point, God would probably be dead, so it wouldn't really matter if he was angry or not. But let's just say hypothetically it did happen. Yes, God would be super angry about that, I assume. Why couldn't Garo become as strong as Saitama when he also broke his limiter like Saitama? So we still don't fully know what was going on with Garo. Like, it said that Garo's limiter was breaking or whatever. There's so many different translations for that when he was going against Darkshine, but there was never any update on what had happened with him after that. So, you know, just fan speculation, we could say that he quote unquote broke his limiter, which is not the same as removing it like what Saitama did. So Garo just breaking his limiter only allowed him to go so far, as where Saitama removed his limiter so he just can infinitely grow. There's not like a perfect explanation to it yet, but that's more or less, I don't know what it kind of is. And is God protecting Earth from Saitama by sending monsters to Earth to fulfill Saitama's eagerness for a fight? No. I think God is just sending monsters to Saitama to try to defeat him because he wants Earth for himself. I don't think he's protecting it from Saitama. Maab Zafar 2975 asks, hey Z, love your content, brother. Do you think Daedric Genos' true spiral incineration cannon and piercing lightning cannon could pierce or deflect Boros' collapsing star roaring cannon like Sairochi's God Ray? Also, do you think that God will intervene in the Mad Cyborg arc and influence Genos like he did with Garo? So yes, I do think that he will try to influence Genos at some point, but I don't know if the beam clash that Genos and Sairochi had was like the same beam that she fired at first that like shaved the Earth. It didn't look like that, and I don't know if it had the same amount of power, so I don't know if it's as strong as the collapsing star roaring cannon, because you know Boros says that it'll destroy Earth or the surface of it, whatever. Similar in power to that God Ray thing. I don't know if it's similar to what she fired at Genos, but on paper, I think Genos can at least beam clash for a little bit with the Clapping Star Roaring Cannon and then possibly get overwhelmed by it, or even just deflect it into space like he did with Psychos. I don't really know personally, but I put my money on Boros at this point. Matt Daddy TV asks, I'm super excited for season 2 of Record Ragnarok. What's your most anticipated fighter left to fight for the humans and gods? Mine is Simo Haya. Probably saying that wrong, but that's like the Russian sniper, I think. I'm excited for Leonidas and Odin. I think Odin is probably going to be the strongest so far, or maybe the strongest of the gods, at least on their roster next to Zeus. I don't know if he's stronger than Zeus, but by the time the series gets to Odin fighting, it'll probably be the last fight or somewhere around there. So the power scale will have risen so much as to where, I don't know, kind of has to surpass Zeus at that point, or at least rival him. Caden Moss 9444 asks, do you think at some point Black S will become a somewhat good person? So I know it kind of seems like he will, and it's like a coin flip at this point, but in my opinion, I'll say no. I think he will ultimately regain his power and just be a full-blown villain, like one of God's disciples for sure. Like, I don't think he's going to have a redemption or a face turn. Seba 9441S asks, hey Zhoniin, thank you so much for the smiles in your videos. Perfect for drawing and studying. I've probably seen the Egyptian God videos 20 times. Oh wow, I appreciate that so much, Seba. I'm glad that I was able to at least entertain you with those videos. If Deku's dad is All For One and All For One is headed there, we might soon get the reveal, especially since Deku haven't seen All For One's true face. What are your thoughts about that? So I was more hyped on this like last year, but now it seems like All For One probably isn't his dad, and that Izuku's dad is just some random guy we're gonna see in like the last chapter. It's like, oh hey Izuku, I came back from being overseas. Oh look, you became God. That's cool. All right, bye. Like if that happens, it's like whatever. I don't really have a lot of high expectations at this point. I feel like if Horikoshi does wind up pulling the trigger on All For One being his dad, he's really going to have to make it make a lot of sense because at this point there's some holes that need to be filled that even I can't do with like YouTube clickbait. Wakandan Buttermilk 9485 asks, I have a theory that the marks on Sukuna's body each store a curse technique, and his innate technique is slash and dismantle, and through some sort of curse tool or science he attached techniques to his soul. Since when he's in Yuji's body he gets the markings, it would make sense for them to be bound to his flesh. Do you think it has any merit? So I'll say that it is pretty interesting that when he possesses somebody they get his markings, and I just assume that's Gege's way of saying they're like, hey, Sukuna's possessed this person, he's taken them over, but the markings definitely do have some kind of explanation to them. Like I don't think they're just aesthetic. So it could be what he stores his abilities in, and I do think that the soul and altering it is going to come into play like around the end of the series when all of this stuff comes to light. Like it was set up with Mahito. Like I think it was purposely set up with Mahito because of that. Like we got an understanding of it, and then it'll be explored that like, yeah, the highest level of jiu-jitsu is altering your soul. But I'll say that right now this theory has as much merit as like any of the other Sukuna theories. And that's just simply because we don't have enough info on this guy yet. So we just have to make theories like this and kind of just throwing darts at the board. Azriel Cypher says here, hey, thank you so much for the super thanks, Azriel. I really appreciate it. Admiral Rat 27 asks, 2 questions. What do you think the future holds for Garo and Bang? Also, do you think Garo has some leftover power from being cosmic? Great vids, love them, man. Hey, thanks, Admiral. I appreciate it. So I think that Garo and Bang are going to train like they say, and they might even hold that tournament that Garo was talking about. I think that would be really cool. Like, I don't know, maybe to have going on in the background while like another big arc starts. Like maybe when the Neo Heroes arc starts, one of the side storylines going on will be Garo having this tournament, like the sparring tournament. I think that would be really cool. Like why would they just mention that for it to go nowhere? You know what I mean? So I think that's going to happen, and Bang will finish training Garo and make him like, I don't know, above dragon level naturally, and going into that. And that being said, I don't think he has any residual cosmic stuff left over. If he does, it'll be something that like God can latch onto to gain control of him or make him more susceptible. But as for power wise, I don't think he has anything. At least not that he's aware of. I think he's just full human. So in chapter 78, we did see that All Back Man was back, did not retire. He was in that room with all those other heroes after a tongue stretcher had opened the door. I don't know what the future is for him, but yeah, he's back. Jaden 2026 asks, thanks for the great content. For the next person to push Saitama, do you think the feats that we will see will be greater than the ones with Garo? Who do you think could push him further than Garo, having bigger feats than sneezing Jupiter away without that person being God? So I really don't know at this point, because I don't know who like the next big players are outside of like Drive Knight and Cyborg Orochi. So I guess that would have to be it. It would have to be Cyborg Orochi, if not being God, unless it's like some new character or some character gets a power up that we weren't aware of. That's like the really only way I can see at this point. I don't know if anyone is going to be giving Saitama any feats bigger than sneezing Jupiter without it being God. That would be kind of crazy, but I guess it is possible. I just see God being that person at this point. And if it's not God, then it would be like Cyborg Orochi, I suppose, or Drive Knight maybe, if he gets the Cosmic Fear power up. Cryptid Lovers 1000 asks, will you ever make another Monster Association Saga video with new information changes to the arc, as in covering the manga version of the events? So yes, I would like to do something like that, but that's super time intensive for my schedule and the way that I personally produce content. And I could get it done with a lot of help, but that would also be really expensive. So I would like to do this. I just don't know if it would be feasible at this point, but I'll look more into it. Asianator asks, how significant is Fubuki's magic sealing kiss with Psychos when considering Fubuki and Saitama romance with Egyptian mythology? If Psycho steals Saitama's power and Fubuki is going to heal him, it could be the perfect moment in the story for them to share a kiss, where besides saving his power somehow narratively, Fubuki kisses Saitama out of love, unlike out of hate/fear with Psychos. Do you think Fubuki's sealing kiss used on Psychos will be used on Saitama? If Psycho steals his power through his saliva, Egyptian ties to Fubuki and Saitama, I'm basically begging for a dedicated Saitama Fubuki video. So first of all, I'll say that it's not confirmed, at least to the listeners here, that Fubuki used a quote-unquote sealing kiss on Psychos, although it is implied that she did something like that to her. And it could be hinting that she might have some kind of magic sealing kiss with Saitama, or Psychos does that to Saitama, because in my opinion, at least, it's very possible that Psychos is going to do something to Saitama that nerfs him. And it's based off of Egyptian mythology that I think that this story is being based off of. I made a video about this. I don't expect everyone to get down with it or agree with it, but regardless, it is possible that at some point in the story, Saitama may become nerfed or poisoned or something, and Fubuki is going to heal Saitama with a kiss. I know that sounds problematic and it's going to anger some people, but I think there's a chance. And as for an entire Fubuki and Saitama video, I would like to make it. It's going to be problematic. It's going to get a lot of hate, but I'll look more into it. And, I might wind up making this one. That's it for the video today, guys. Once again, thank you to everyone who gave me a super thanks. And if you guys would like to be in next week's video, again, just check out the super thanks button below this video. And if you liked it, give it a like and have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.